Having high-level skills in skyblock is one of the best ways to show your dedication to the game. You can put in hours upon hours of work only to receive a slight stat increase, but over time, those small stats start to build up and become pretty noticeable and can make a huge difference in gameplay. Today, my goal was to get as many level 50 skills I could by doing the least amount of work possible, and let's just say, I did pretty alright. If you at all enjoy my adventure, be sure to sub and like for more game-breaking content. So yeah, enjoy the video. So this story starts all the way back on New Year's Eve. You see, I've been playing Skyblock since its release, and I was beginning to feel a little bit burnt out. So I decided I'd take a break, stream some SMP Earth for a bit, and it was pretty fun, you know, but eventually I had accomplished everything I wanted to, so after about 2 months, I made my return to Skyblock. I didn't miss much while I was gone, there wasn't any big update or anything, except for the fact that you could get combat XP while being completely AFK. The way it worked is that you would place down some gas minions and hop in an AFK pool while wearing a vampire mask, and because of the hat's passive ability would damage mobs, you would get combat XP whenever they die. Now the first time I saw this, I was still on my break, and I logged into Skyblock and saw every single one of my island members AFKing with hats on. And instead of looking into it, I went and logged off. And looking back, I really regret that I didn't ask about it, because that farm could get you combat 50 in just a few weeks. Now when I first heard about this, I was kind of upset. I was only combat level 27 at the time, so that meant people were able to deal twice as much damage as me, all because they AFK'd. But it wasn't doing me any good to sit and cry about it, so I put it behind me and I just moved on. But that all changed when the pets update was released. You see, everyone wanted to craft legendary pets, including us, and to do that you needed a lot of eggs. We made a farm that was pretty alright, it looked cool, but it wasn't really that efficient. But 30virus showed off his farm that uses a fishing rod and a pufferfish hat, which was triple the speed of ours, so we decided to copy it. Alright, it seems to be working.
Can't we just use gas instead of chicken?
Wait.
Oh. But it wasn't as easy as just replacing the chicken minions with gas, mostly because the pufferfish hat wouldn't give combat XP. So we had to test out a few new designs. We started off trying to make a fishing rod AFK pool, but for some reason the bobber kept getting stuck, even when there were no blocks around it, so that didn't work. But we eventually came up with a design that uses a cobblestone minion and a cobble generator to allow water to flow down, but then quickly get blocked off. So if I throw my rod into here and wait for the water to flow, the water will lift up the rod, and if I put a gas minion down, the rod will actually go up the water, hit the gas, and give me XP. It works! And after a couple more changes, this farm was able to make around 3.1 million combat XP per day. There were definitely ways to make it faster, but it didn't matter. A few days after we made the farm, the admins made a change to fishing rods that only allowed them to be cast for 30 seconds. This was to nerf 30's egg farm, but at the same time, they unknowingly patched our combat XP method. But we weren't going to give up that easily. We figured that since there was one AFK combat farm that wasn't discovered yet, there might be more out there. So after looking around for a bit, we stumbled across Cactus Armor. Cactus Armor has this ability that rebounds 33% of the damage you take back at your enemy. So that meant if a ghast fireballed me, he would also take damage without me doing anything. So I took our old farm, cut a hole in the wall, and put an AFK pool down. Now this isn't your normal AFK pool, this one is way more advanced. In each of the corners we have teleport pads. Now what these do is that they change the direction that you're facing. In order to get any skill XP, you have to be moving your head, and this is just a little way around that. This was used in the vampire mask and the rod farm as well, I just forgot to mention it. Now there's still one big flaw with this farm. Over time you will lose health and eventually die. So to try and counter this, I put 40 hot potato books on my cactus armor, I set up some beacons with regen and resistance, I got my zombie slayer up to 8 for the plus 50% natural regen perk, and I was holding a reaper falchion which gives me plus 10 HP per hit, and it still wasn't enough to keep me alive. So you might be wondering why dying is such a big problem. I mean, it's not hard to put yourself back in the farm, so why am I mentioning it? Well, the problem is that we can't use combat XP boost potions because when you die, you lose all potion effects. And because of this, our farm was instantly 30% slower, bringing our total to around 1.9 million XP per day, which compared to our last farm is huge, and it really took a hit on my quest to combat 50. But once again, this farm was short-lived. People were checking my stats and they were able to see what armor I was wearing and they saw my gas kills going up. Then put 2 and 2 together and you find out about the combat XP method. Then forum posts started popping up and this one in particular was getting a lot of attention. And a couple hours after that post was created, Cactus Armor stopped giving XP. But it still did. Cactus Armor still gave combat XP, and it wasn't because the patch didn't work. It was all because of thorns. So even though we technically still could use cactus armor, we decided it would be better to swap to a different armor set that had thorns, and just humor the fact that cactus armor was fixed so no one would look into it further. I set aside my hot potato book cactus armor and replaced it with my superior set that already had thorns on it. The good thing is that we didn't need to make any adjustments to the farm because the only thing that changed was the armor, but now that I'm in superior, it's pretty much impossible to die, meaning that I can use potions again, and that instantly boosted our combat XP gain to around 2.4 million XP per day. This was also around the time that I found out that cactus armor and thorns were a known way of getting combat XP, but nobody used it because it was too inefficient. I looked around a bit and I found people that were using cactus armor and only getting 200k XP a day. When I asked to see their farms, they showed me a farm like this. A huge obsidian box with ghast minions scattered throughout. And the reason this is so inefficient is because if you AFK here and the box is filled with ghast, if the ghast in the very back wants to shoot you, he's gonna shoot this ghast, and it just becomes this whole mess of ghast accidentally shooting each other, and the only one that you could possibly get combat XP from is this one in the front. But even then, it's still a coin flip whether you or the ghast behind you will kill it. But with our farm, all the ghast spawn in the exact same block, and that makes it so that the fireballs will never hit another ghast. How has no one else thought of this? There are much smarter people in this community, and it took an idiot like me 2 seconds to realize that this was a massive flaw and find a way around it. The following 2 weeks were pretty uneventful. I only lost one superior helmet to ghast fireballs, so I'd say we're doing alright. I also invested into crafting a hunter ring, which gave +5 combat XP, which will really add up over time. The only downside is that it cost 40 million coins to craft, making it one of the most expensive talisman in the game. But if it meant I was going to get more combat XP, I'll do whatever it takes. Another thing I forgot to mention, our farm doubles as an AFK pet leveler, and the pet that we chose to level up is the wolf pet. The wolf pet is a pet that's meant for wolf slayer with its damage reduction and extra crit damage, but it also has a third perk that's perfect for our needs, combat XP boost. You might be looking at it and thinking that a 0.3% boost isn't that much, but the more you level up the pet, the bigger the boost gets, and at level 100, you get a free 30% XP boost. Now when I first started, I had a level 1 wolf pet, and over the weeks, it's been slowly leveling up. Alright, my wolf is currently level 99 and a few kills away from 100. Hey, level 100, and I got an achievement. Alright, I think the plan here is to sell this and get free money, and I'll just start leveling up another pet, and it should be close to level 100 by the time I get combat 50. Alright, so I auctioned the pet and I listed it for 3 days. Average price for them at the time was around 45 to 50 million, so I just wanted to be safe and make sure I could get that. A day goes by and somebody bids 50 million, and I'm happy with that, and I log in the next day. I'm AFK watching YouTube or something, and somebody bids the funny numbers. Completely overpaying, but I don't care, I just made a lot of money. I get up for 5 minutes, I go downstairs, I come back, and somebody bid 370 million. It's literally at the top of the auction house. Once the bid ended, I partied him to see if it was an accidental bid or something, but instead he gives me the pet back and then just leaves the party without saying anything else. So I get the pet and 370 mil, and we couldn't even hold that much. I had to go and upgrade our bank because I knew if I'd be walking around with 150 mil, I'd probably lose it. A couple days later, I wake up at my normal time of 6 p.m. to find I was disconnected overnight. Nothing unusual, I log back in, run over to the AFK pool, and bonus, earn 20% more skill experience. This is a part of the out of school play our server thing, which happened at a really good time because it meant I had to do 20% less AFKing because now our farm made an extra 500k, bringing the total up to 2.9 million combat XP per day. We were so close to reaching 3 mil a day, but I'd done all the optimizations I could bother with. I mean, an easy one that I could have done was replace all the enchanted lava buckets with foul flesh in every minion. That would have easily put us over, but foul flesh is expensive and we're broke, so I decided not to. But then I had a breakthrough. I was talking to a friend who was trying to figure out my gas farm design, and he asked me the question, are you using suffocation or cactus? Now, I had been using suffocation to help lower the health of gas so it dies faster, and I thought about using cactus, but I figured they both did the same thing. But apparently, cactus has this neat feature where if you damage a mob and it dies on the cactus, you still get the combat XP. Now, this was huge because some of the gas were dying from suffocation instead of thorns, which was an issue, but with this cactus feature, it solved both problems and boosted the farm efficiency by 25%, which now totals to over 3.6 million combat XP per day. This farm was now powerful enough to get a player from combat level 0 to 50 in just over 2 weeks. I had taken a known method that everyone had just disregarded and made it into one of the most broken AFK farms on the server. So it's been like a month and a half since I first started using the combat XP farms, and I've gone from combat 27 all the way to 46, which is really good, but it would still take me another month just to get combat 50 from AFK. The reason it's taking so long is because it's not just me going for combat 50, it's the rest of my co-op too. So I ended up sharing the farm with them, and that meant I was getting less combat XP per day. But I was getting impatient. I can't spend another month AFK in combat, there's much better things I could be doing. Plus the 20% skill boost is still active, and I want to take advantage of that while I can. So I made a slight adjustment to our farm so that I can use a fishing rod to kill the ghast, but hey, whoa, I'm not gonna pull a Tabor and use a macro, no. Instead, I'm just gonna get a wireless mouse and tape it to my hand so I can be holding down right click while I sleep. Okay, I actually think that might be bannable. But in the end, I decided to just watch the entire Star Wars saga while holding down right click. I left a couple signs for any staff members that might spectate me and mistake me for macroing, and just to be safe, I recorded the entire time with hand cam. I'm not risking anything, man. Oh, and just to give you some stats, this farm makes around 450k XP an hour, which is a major step up from our AFK farm, which is only around 150k an hour. Did a cute just walk in the farm when it's not even active? Alright, dude, 1 hour left until I'm free. Oh, hey, finally. I've wasted so much of my life just to deal a little bit more damage to mob. This was not worth it. I sat here for 30 hours in the past 2 days, dude. I'm just so glad it's finally over. I can finally sleep. But sadly, this isn't where it ends. I still had more skills to max. An easy one to get was alchemy. It's not too exciting, you just brew enchanted sugarcane for an hour or so. And it wasn't that expensive either. At the beginning of skyblock, I manually farmed my way up to alchemy 32, and it only cost me like another 40 mil to hit level 50. The next skill I went for is enchanting, and if you thought alchemy was boring and expensive, then you're not gonna like this one. To start, it costs around 100 mil worth of grand XP bottles, and the best way to get these is to buy the resources from the bazaar and craft them yourself. Then here's the fun part. You have to spend the next few days doing nothing but enchanting books, and the amount of time it takes is really dependent on your ping. Because the higher ping you have, the longer it takes to open the enchant table. Now for me, I've got around 40 MS, and it only took me around 20 hours to hit enchanting 50, but my co-op member Jin, who averages around 350 MS, spent easily 50 hours on it. Here's a side-by-side comparison of our speeds. For every one book Jin enchants, I've already done 2. And now that I have both Enchanting and Alchemy 50, I have a base intelligence of over 200, which I believe is one of the highest you can get. Now the final skill I decided to level up is farming, and this time I had a good reason. I found out that it was possible for me to get more health than my co-op member Hasko. Now I understand this doesn't seem that interesting, but hear me out. For some reason Hasko put himself through getting all of his slayers to level 9, which gives a bonus HP of I think 11. While my slayers are a bit lacking. Now for any normal person, the only way to get that HP is actually to do the slayers, but I had a way around that. Do you remember back when the park was released and with it came brand new fairy souls? Well, when it was first introduced, it was actually possible to get glitched fairy souls. The reason for this is because the admin team might have forgotten to remove the 6 fairy souls you had already claimed on the old island. Now me being the fairy soul man made my video on the new locations, and whenever I was claiming my bonus, I realized this bug and I reported it immediately and it got fixed. Now the reason this is important is because I still have those 6 extra fairy souls, which is enough for me to claim the new rewards, and with that came plus 22 HP. So now all I had to do was get farming 50, and so over 100 hours and 6 million pumpkins later, it was finally time. Wait. Hey, farming 50, thank God. Suck it, Baka boy. Haskell obviously wasn't too happy with this, and I mean, I would be too if I grinded my slayers to max and someone that came up and clicked a couple heads before I did got better rewards. He tried to overtake me by doing fishing, but I wouldn't let that happen and did the same, and I think that's when he realized he wasn't going to win this. So currently, with the exception of Potato Boy, my entire co-op has at least 3 level 50 skills, but I have 4 and Haskell is closing in on his 5th. Not all of this was cheap either, and together we've spent upwards of 800 million coins on skills, and now we're pretty broke. So since I had an extra one of these laying around, I might as well try and get something for it. Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Alright, so that's gonna do it for this episode of Breaking Skyblock. If you enjoyed, go ahead and subscribe. We're closing in on 200k. Also, I have a Twitter you can follow and more videos you can watch, so yeah, see ya.
Speed. I am speed. I eat losers for breakfast. I'm faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning.